All right, good morning. Thank you for joining our session hosted by EdDirection. My name is Monica Zdrajewski, and again, just wanted to reiterate our appreciation for joining our session. We know you have a lot of options to choose from today, and so we're excited to share more about how EdDirection can support your district through the implementation of high quality instructional materials. All right, so we'll start with a quick round of introductions, and I know we've got a pretty small group. So Heidi, if you're comfortable, feel free to either come off mute to share an introduction, or if you'd prefer to post it in the chat, that works as well. And then I'll go ahead and share a quick intro. So as I mentioned, my name is Monica Zdrajewski. I'm a program manager with EdDirection based out of Austin, Texas. And I'm super excited to be here with you all today. I have spent my entire career working with K-12 districts in Texas, started out as a teacher, worked at the district level, worked at the state level, and now excited to work through EdDirection to support Texas school districts through their implementation of a number of different strategic planning initiatives. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to my colleagues to share an introduction as well.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Murray. Nice to meet you, Heidi. I began my career in education in Texas, was a middle school math teacher and assistant principal. Have also done some general management consulting across the education space. And now I'm here at EdDirection helping with school improvement efforts and all other implementation initiatives. Currently working with 7 LEAs in Texas, helping them to accelerate learning through RSSP. I'll pass it to Carrie.
Thank you, Alyssa and Monica. Good morning, Heidi. Carrie Miller, had the pleasure of working with EdDirection for over 6 years now and have been in the education field for the majority of my career, over 17 at this point. And super excited to be connecting with you all and sharing a bit about who we are, and what we've done, and certainly would open it up and welcome just any questions that you all have. Just as additional context, for the time before I started working with EdDirection 6 years ago, had the pleasure of working as a secondary teacher across several subjects, as well as a K-12 school administrator. And my work has most recently been in Texas, but also bring to the conversation the context and I guess institutional knowledge of EdDirection's work as we've worked nationally in various school settings around the country. So pass it back to you both, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, throughout the presentation, please feel free to share any questions or comments in the chat. We want to make this as interactive and engaging as possible, and we'll also save time at the end for any questions that you may have. So moving on, we just wanted to go ahead and start by sharing 4 ways that we really think at EdDirection we do our work differently than others. First and foremost, we take a super collaborative, relationship-driven approach to the work and always ground the work that we do in data. So we always ensure that the work that we do is with you in partnership, step by step along the way, and never to you. And so we're very cognizant of ensuring that our approach is super collaborative and a partnership in nature. Additionally, our approach is always rooted in deep empathy with a clear understanding that this year has been harder than ever. And our goal as a technical assistance provider is always to ease your burdens and to help along the way. And then thirdly, we deliver support that's personalized and customized to your LEA. We love a great framework and a toolkit, but we also know that implementation is what matters most, really taking the words off of the page and putting it into action. And so we don't ever follow a pre-created off-the-shelf package of resources and supports. Our approach is very grounded in doing what works best for your LEA and meeting you where you are at throughout this journey. And then finally, I wanted to highlight that our team has deep Texas curriculum expertise and feel very passionately about the critical importance of high-quality instructional materials. We are a team made up of former Texas educators and administrators with deep familiarity of the TEKS, We have personally utilized curriculums such as Eureka and Amplify, and then we have also had experience managing teams doing curriculum change management, so understand how to walk alongside you throughout this process.
All right, so just a bit about the backstory of EdDirection leading into more specifically our work in Texas. We've been around since 2007. First offices were in Salt Lake City, Utah, where we still have members of our team. We're also, though, deeply embedded in Dallas, Texas, and as Monica mentioned, Austin as well. So we have deep roots in Texas too. We also have offices in Washington, DC, and then Asheboro, North Carolina. And I think we've worked with like more than 1,000 schools, over 100 districts in more than 25 states, including the territory of the Virgin Islands. And throughout that work, as Monica mentioned, we do really work to complement strategic and deliberate practice alongside the needed customization, appreciating that every school context and every district context is different and unique. So what you can see on the left-hand side of the screen is one thing that we're proud about is just demonstrated outcomes that we do take deliberate practice and effort seriously, and also the relationships, as the team has mentioned, to bring our work about. And there is demonstrated evidence that what we have done consistently works. So we've tracked over time that average 3-year growth based on student summative assessment data indicates pretty substantial gains, proficiency gains in achievement across subject areas. So we're pretty proud that not only are we, I think it's safe to say, a combination of deliberate but also scrappy in how we do what we do, but that leads to positive school improvement and positive student outcomes, which is ultimately our driving force. Monica and Alyssa are going to speak with a lot more detail about our work in Texas and what that's looked like and sound like, really just to give you a snapshot of some of the work so you can get a deeper just vision of what that looks like and sounds like. But most recently, we have been working through T-class initiatives, most specifically in Decision 1, the Resilient School Support Program, and have the pleasure of working with a number of districts in a variety of contexts. I think we've covered almost every square inch of the great state of Texas since starting this initiative and this work, and a huge cornerstone of that effort, in addition to looking at learning acceleration strategies and how we can bring our expertise into that work, is a focus on high quality instructional materials and understanding those deeply, but also understanding how they can come to life through the practices that teachers take through their instructional design and implementation, and also that leaders take to make those initiatives coherent. A final word before I'll pass it back to the ladies here is one thing that we're particularly proud of in doing that work is we have the benefit of selectivity on our team. So you're talking to the three of us, you've heard a bit about our backstories, but any team member that you talked to from EdDirection has been a classroom teacher for a substantial number of years, as well as taking on various leadership roles and other roles across education as a field. So really excited that we're able to bring that understanding and knowledge together into the work specifically in Texas. And so with that, we'll dig a little bit deeper into some of the snapshots of what we've been up to in recent years.
Awesome. So given that overview and you've gotten a sense of hopefully who we are and what we believe in, we wanted to shift focus now to talking about why you guys are here, which is Decision 2A. What we've included here are a number of screenshots from the TEA presentation this morning. And we know that there are a fair number of deliverables required as part of Decision 2A as you implement HQIM across your district, including the instructional vision, SMART goals, stakeholder engagement plan, schedule, instructional calendar, etc. And what we want to say to you is, we know that this is likely one of many initiatives that you may be pursuing at this time. You may be part of other T-class projects, working through TIA, and on top of everything else that you're doing on a daily basis to support students and teachers and leaders at your district. And our goal in being a support partner is really just to ease your burden so that you can focus on the most important thing, which is student achievement in your district. What that looks like is, us managing some of that paperwork for you, drafting the deliverables, working with you on edits, and making sure that all our work is always meeting or exceeding TEA guidelines. So now I will show you a little bit more about how we would love to scope out the work with you. We would propose taking a 3-step approach to successfully navigate the HQIM change initiative. Starting a new curriculum at a district is a massive change initiative, and we know that it requires really thoughtful upfront planning in order to be successful and support along the way. So first, we would start by deeply understanding stakeholder needs and interests. Many of us on our team have implemented new curriculums in our schools as leaders and also as technical assistance partners to LEAs. And we know that new curriculum lives or dies in the classroom. It's all about how the teachers are trained and how invested they are in the change. So we know that teachers are our most important audience, and we want to talk to them really early in the process and make sure their voice is heard throughout. Additionally, once we kind of get a sense of your community and the stakeholder interests, we'll partner with you to set a bold, achievable vision, SMART goals, and set an implementation roadmap. We really believe that in managing large change initiatives and where we've seen success in the past is by getting everybody on the same page, speaking the same language, and really aligned on where we're going together. And then third, once implementation starts, we'll walk alongside you through planning and executing all those actions. We want to be a partner in the work, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to help you with that. Additionally, throughout this entire process, our philosophy is really to tailor all of our solutions to individual needs and contexts of LEAs, again, while making sure that we're following those TEA guidelines. So now I'll give you a little bit more info about some sample actions that could happen per phase. And again, we take a very customized approach. So all of this is subject to change depending on the context of your LEA. Again, first, we would start with this deep dive into stakeholders, conduct teacher, administrator, leader interviews, focus group surveys to listen genuinely, proactively anticipate reactions again, so that we can make sure that voice is represented in our plans. Additionally, we won't just be collecting stakeholder input up front, we will be collecting it throughout the process, again, because how HQIM lives and breathes on the ground is really what determines whether it's successful. It's not just the materials, it's how teachers use them and how kids receive them. Secondly, we would work on a vision, SMART goals, and implementation roadmap. What we've found successful in big change initiatives like this is when we can really take data and stakeholder feedback and come together to build a personalized story of why. Why is your district adopting HQIM? And make sure that story really resonates with everyone, because it is going to be a lot of work and we have to be grounded in the why. Additionally, we'll lead a visioning and goals workshop to create shared language and accountability around the work, and we'll iterate on those implementation plans together. And Heidi, to your question in the chat, we support the curriculum you choose. So if you were to use Eureka or Amplify or Carnegie or any of the others, we're prepared to lead you in the implementation planning and strategic support of those curriculums. And I'll give you an example of how we've done that with another LEA so you can kind of see what that looks like on the ground. But yeah, again, taking the curriculum you choose, we would thought partner on key decisions such as schedules, scopes, and sequences, assessments, learning. We have experience implementing a variety of these curriculums. For example, with something like Eureka Math, making sure that we've taken the scope and sequence of the district and the scope and sequence of Eureka and aligned them with the TEKs and the most prioritized TEKs to make sure that students are receiving the information they need to receive in a sequenced way. We'll also constantly evaluate the success of actions by collecting stakeholder data, student achievement data, and adjusting course as needed. And I will pass it to Monica to talk a little bit about how we've approached RSSP. And I think as well, Heidi, at the last slide, we'll come back to what this actually looks like when working with an HQIM.
Thanks, Alyssa. So we wanted to give a more real example of how we've done this strategic planning work, specifically through the Resilient School Support Program, which is now a component of T-Class Decision 1. And so this is our second year supporting LEAs across Texas with this particular initiative. In year one, the focus was really on virtual instruction. So going into this academic year, we had a substantial shift in which we were taking a focused approach on a learning acceleration strategy that was selected by the district. Again, all grounded in that stakeholder engagement and really utilizing data to drive which learning acceleration strategy was the best fit for our particular set of LEAs. And so through the strategic planning and performance management initiative, it was our work with LEAs to prioritize, launch, and continuously improve learning acceleration strategies. Some examples of those are implementing high quality instructional materials, implementing high dosage tutoring to ensure compliance with House Bill 4545, small group and differentiated instruction, scaffolding, just-in-time intervention, so a whole host of evidence-based instructional strategies that we know are best for our students in the classroom. And so through this process, we found that all 7 of our districts really needed something different, and we customized our approach and our implementation supports accordingly. So as you'll see on the left-hand side here, we wanted to showcase some of the actions we've done so far with our LEAs, which includes conducting in-person site visits and coaching with our focus campuses, planning and delivering professional learning on high-quality instructional material internalization, implementing checks for understanding and scaffolds, planning to TEKS alignment. We've also done a lot of work in coaching coaches and standing up monthly leadership summits for principals. So really taking the approach of sustainability and working with your support staff, and then also doing direct collaborative coaching. So again, on the right, you'll see some artifacts of our work with our LEAs. And as you'll see, we ensure that we customize our approach to really fit what each of our districts needed throughout this process, understanding that there is a lot of change management happening, and it is our goal always to help ease your burdens and walk alongside of you. I'm going to turn it back over to Alyssa to share a specific case study of one of our LEAs who's actually implementing high quality instructional materials this school year.
Awesome. So again, Heidi, to your question in the chat of how we support, here's an example. Right now, we've been working on supporting the rollout of Eureka and Amplify at a rural LEA with grades K through 2. And again, we started with that real strategic planning and listening to our stakeholders to make sure that we were focusing on the right things. And what we heard from teachers in those focus groups and surveys was, I'm spending a lot of time lesson planning and not knowing which resources I should be going to in order to make sure that the high quality materials are in front of my kids every day. And that combined with the fact that, we are obviously seeing severe learning gaps from COVID led us to the decision collaboratively to say, hey, let's dive into Amplify and Eureka and implement them with fidelity. So what we did to start the year off is we worked with CRMSI district leaders to develop a professional development session tailored to the LEA's lesson planning protocols. This LEA has, specific ways that their teachers plan, and so we wanted our PD to be reflective of that specific context. We gave the PD and focused on, again, building the why and delivering those essential skills of how to use the products. Teachers reacted really strongly. They were very, excited to use the materials. And a lot of teachers said things like, oh, this is what I've been looking for years, is someone to give me high quality worksheets, high quality activities that are aligned to the TEKS and are interesting to my students. That's August, and then the year goes on and it's September, October, November, and, honeymoon's a little bit over. And, obviously we start to hear some of the nitty gritties of implementation and how that HQIM could be better. One thing in, consistently analyzing lesson plans and student achievement data and classroom observation data was that teachers were having a hard time reading the text of the Amplify or the Eureka lessons and knowing, okay, when do I stop and ask students if they're understanding? How do I check and make sure they're with me? How do I evaluate their progress along the way? And so what we did was, as part of the internalization process, was come into PLC sessions and say, okay, let's actually practice going through a lesson together and finding where we need to check for understanding and scoping in those questions. Because HQAM gives you a fantastic overlay of what to teach, but we really want teachers to be focusing on that how to teach. How do you take those materials and bring them to life on your campus? So we've done a number of sessions like that. And it's November, so it's still early, but we are super excited that 100% of teachers in this LEA are currently using Eureka and Amplify with Fidelity in their lessons. And we know this because we've been right alongside with them. We've been observing classrooms, we've been in PLCs, we've been looking at lesson plans every week. And so, you know, it's not perfect. We have definitely ways to go in making sure that, you know, the kids are getting exactly what they need, but teachers are diving in and doing this work, which is super, super exciting. We can't wait to see what continues from that partnership. So we'll end there. We've said a lot to you. Appreciate you throwing a question in the chat. Let us know if you have any other questions. We'd love to learn more about you and how we can be supportive. Additionally, we have a quick survey that we'd love if you have a couple minutes to take, and that just gives us a little bit more information about what's most pressing for you. Thank you.